I live with my parents and my two sisters. For as long as I can remember, my parents have had financial difficulties. For the past 4 months, I have paid the entirety of my parents' rent. While I don't really make that much, I work 50 hours a week most weeks due to understaffing, so I get pretty good-sized paychecks. Plus, most of the time, I am able to set aside some money for saving. However, these past months, every one of my dad's paychecks, he makes the most money out of us all, has been garnished or been completely gone before he ever gets them. I have the misfortune of getting paid the exact same days as him. So the majority of my paychecks and all my savings have gone to paying for bills. 2 weeks ago, my dad didn't get his paycheck, and I ended up overdrawing my bank account with $1,000. It was an accident, as I had forgotten about a payment that I had made that had yet to show up. So when I got my paycheck on Friday, it was just $100, which my dad immediately asked for 80 of. I had told my parents I would be unable to help financially for the next 2 weeks. And again, my dad didn't get his check. So my parents are scrambling to get money together to avoid our utilities being cut off. My college does this thing where you pay the full amount of your tuition, and then at the end of the semester, you get the amount of scholarships and financial aid paid to you. There is a deadline to get the money. However, they hold it for you if you miss it. Most of the 2 years I have been going there, I have forgotten to do that, so the money has been sitting around. I had missed the December deadline for the fall semester, but I got a jump on spring knowing that I would forget, and it is my last year at that college because I am transferring to another one. I promptly forgot about it. Well, on Friday, I received an email from the bank system my college uses that I will be receiving the money. I had shrugged it off because most of the time I receive my money from that kind of stuff really late. So while the email said 1-2 business days, I was thinking it would be in June. So imagine my surprise when I see that that day it was in my account. Also, considering that it has been sitting there for 2 years, it is a fair amount. I am by no means rich or anything, but it was certainly more than I had been expecting. I paid a bill that I just haven't been able to, and the majority is just sitting in my bank account. It's been 2 days, and I haven't mentioned anything about the money. My parents never even knew I was getting money from my college due to my forgetfulness. I know that this money could help make sure that none of our utilities are cut off, but I can't seem to bring myself to tell them. I'm moving out soon, so this money could go towards giving me some breathing room or go to my classes this summer. So I really want to save it and not say anything. Just let my parents assume that I only have $20 to my name. However, if the utilities get cut off, then I will be affected as well. I feel like such a jerk for not telling my parents about the money. I know that I am just being selfish, but I am so tired of every penny I make going towards my family's bills. I know my mom feels extremely guilty every time they do this, but it is something they have to do to survive. So, am I the jerk? Since a lot of people are asking, here you go. My parents have a lot of payday loans from my childhood, other loans, and owe money to the state and IRS. My dad had at one point been accused of a gambling addiction. It runs in his family, and he had at one point had one. However, my parents have talked this out. My dad's company also has shitty communication, so we have no way of knowing when he is garnished and why until he gets paid. Everyone does work, but me and my dad make the most money. My mom works a minimum wage job. My sisters work part-time minimum wage jobs. My mom and 20-year-old sister do help pay bills. My little sister, however, does not. She is the type that has a little bit of money and goes wild. My parents pay for a lot of her stuff without ever seeing a dime for it. My parents are trying to stop that. However, it is extremely difficult due to other factors that I will not get into in this post, as it has nothing to do with money. The reason I make a lot of money is because I am a lifeguard, and due to the lack of them, we are paid intensively. As many of you have suggested, I am moving out. I am moving to a different city this summer for classes. I honestly don't think I need to go to such extremes as some of you suggested. My bank account is separate from theirs. We do use the same bank, though. My parents do not try to sneakily get my money, and the few times my dad has, I have called him out and berated him over it. My mom also feels extremely guilty about the entire situation, and as such, I don't see her doing anything underhanded. And my dad, I have strict guidelines with him. I do have a ton of notifications on for both my credit card and bank account, to the point of $1 getting spent, I will know. Also, no, I will not be getting back the money that I have given to my parents. I am not even going to try. I'm not going to be another thing that they have to pay off. However, some of your suggestions I will follow. My parents are aware, and I will remind them when I leave that I will not be able to pay things when they leave, as I will be both reducing my hours at work and having my own bills to pay, such as school and the apartment. Now for a relevant comment. Not the idiot, you are technically paying for school yourself, right? The student loans and scholarships are all in your name, so that money is yours. Put it into savings, use it to buy textbooks next semester. If it's money left over from your student loans, you'll technically have to pay it back when you start paying your loans. So might as well use it as you please. I received money back from college for a few semesters, like $600 per semester. But at that time, my parents paid for my tuition, only $1,500 per semester, community college, so I just paid them back that money since it was theirs anyway. But when I started paying for myself, I kept that money for myself. OP replied, I pay for college out of pocket. I don't have student loans, and no one else has paid for my tuition, so it is absolutely my money. Now for the 13-day update. So my dad decided to play a joke on me. He took my card and took out 90% of the money in my checking account. For those wondering about the college money I got from a previous post, it is in another savings account that is through another institution, so it is safe. He then put my card back in its original position and went to work. He did all of this around midnight, so I woke up in the morning to most of my money being gone. My first thought was that my dad took my card without asking, but my card was still in my wallet and where I left it. I had thought that someone had cloned my card and guessed my PIN. I sent off a quick text to my mom and called my bank. I spent a while doing that. I was so anxious. I was practically sobbing, and I'm not a person that really cries. That money was my deposit and rent for June. I then went into the living room and heard my mom arguing. I couldn't hear much, but I heard my mom exclaim, "What made you think it was a good idea?" Instantly, dread filled me. I walked up to my parents' room. My mom was arguing with my dad on the phone. According to my dad, he found our cat playing with my card. He decided to take it and remove my money to teach me a lesson about leaving my card lying around and then go to work. My dad apologized to me, and I just handed the phone back to my mom and stormed out of the room. My dad had pulled something like this to me before, except he took all of my money and then lost it. My dad claimed that he took the money to teach me a lesson for leaving my card around and around my family. Later on, he told me in private that he took it because he knew I was lying about the amount of money I had. I had been saving that money for a medical thing, so I was hiding it because my family is always in a state of financial distress, and he would ask for it if he knew that I had it, and I was just done being in constant pain. Anyways, there were clear flaws in the story he told us. First, that I had my card, and it was in my wallet exactly where I left it. That was a whole separate trip from going to work. Also, neither my wallet nor my card have any sign of damage. My dad works out of city, which is a 1.5 car ride from where we live. My mom said that she will drive me to my dad's work, where we will pick up the money. We don't trust him to have it till he is done working, due to what happened last time. He protested, saying that that will use too much gas and that he will drive down instead, as that will use the same amount of gas. This ultimately leads to my mom practically having the confirmation that he has started gambling again. My dad had a gambling addiction when I was younger, but he got help for it and had been clean for a while. As in her mind, why else would he be so adamant that we not go to his work? He came home and returned all the money to me. Yes, I counted over and over again to make sure. He apologized, and I said nothing. My mom said that he didn't sound sincere. My dad blew up on her, saying that he had apologized over the phone and that he was obviously sorry about what happened. He later on apologized to me about that, but I ignored it, and he doesn't seem to be talking to my mom. My mom has told me that she is going to talk to a lawyer, and she is absolutely torn up about this. There have been so many issues with their relationship this past year, but this seemed to be the straw that broke the camel's back to leave her 40-year marriage to my dad. My sisters don't know what is going on, or if they do not know the whole situation. I told her that once I move out, that I might go no contact with him. My mom got all sad and said she doesn't blame me for wanting to, after all that my dad put me through. I'm honestly emotionally drained and dreading calling back my bank. My mom had this great weekend planned for us, but now there is an overwhelming feeling of dread and tension over everything. I was actually going to finally do something for myself that I had finally worked up the nerve to ask my mom about, but that had to be canceled. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm moving out soon, I would have called my friend and moved out today. I'm just done with my dad in this situation. At the same time, I feel such an overwhelming guilt. I know that I did the right thing, that I had to tell my mom and protect myself financially, but I don't know. I feel responsible for my parents separating, and me and my mom are the only ones that know that, even though my dad made his choice. The fact that I love my dad, and I still want a close relationship with him like I never had yet, I can't imagine ever talking to him after he put me through all this. I also feel like I'm too emotional and hasty to make these decisions as all of this happened today. Maybe I just need confirmation that I am doing the right thing. So would I be the idiot? Now for a few important comments. Not the idiot. Your dad stole from you. Change your PIN number and passwords on everything. Then OP replied, "Oh, absolutely. I reached out to my bank thinking that someone copied my card before I found out it was my dad. I am getting a new PIN, new card, and account information. Everything is being changed." Now for the 2-week update. I know it's been 2 weeks since my last post, but a lot has happened since then. My parents are getting a divorce. I have mixed feelings about this. My mom has started to track my dad. I know invasion of privacy, but it was the only way to know for sure. Multiple times, the tracker has put him at a casino when he claims he's working. My mom has figured that he has been getting his paycheck 2 days early and not telling anyone. My mom called a lawyer last Wednesday to talk about her next move. My dad isn't fighting it, which is honestly destroying my mom. Yesterday, we got an eviction notice that we have to be out by the end of the month. This has happened before, but my dad has always explained it away. Apparently, my dad, hasn't paid the rent in 4 months. My dad hasn't said anything about this. He now knows we are all seeing through him and his act. My mom and younger sister are going to live with my maternal grandparents. Me and my other sister are moving out to our own apartment at the end of the week. This makes me extremely angry, because my parents got the money from me to pay for the rent. Instead, it was going to my dad's gambling. I did a calculation for how much I gave them this year, and I am horrified it is over $10,000. All my savings for college, so many of my paychecks that I have given up to help my family, has actually gone to my dad's gambling addiction. I feel so used and like a fool. I feel so betrayed. My mom has told me that she doesn't want me to go no contact with my dad. She wants to hold family dinners once everything has settled down and she has a place, and she is going to invite my dad. My mom still loves my dad and keeps saying that he is sick. I know this. I know he isn't well, that he has lost control, but I don't know if I can keep him in my life. He used me and manipulated me. I feel less like his child and more like his walking bank account. He broke our family, and even if it is because he's sick, I don't know if I can put it past me. I know that it would destroy my mom to cut my dad out of my life. I know you guys said I'm not the in my last post, but I still feel like one. I might add more later as I have to go to work. One of the reasons that my mom is going to do these dinners is to give my dad a reason to get help. I honestly don't think that will work. First, my father is rarely with us or does stuff when he lives with us. I doubt he will go. Second, if the looming threat of divorce didn't kick him into gear, I don't think weekly dinners will. I have a really good relationship with my mom, so I do want to go to those dinners to spend time with her. but I don't know if I can face my dad if he decides to come. My mom wants me to have a good relationship with my dad, which is why she doesn't want me to go no contact with him. Also, some of it is likely her guilt for the situation and the fact I tend to be the person she goes to for help. Also, a lot of you have been confused by me being responsible for their divorce. Like I said, it was an update to a post that I had made previously. If you want all the information, go look at that post. But the rundown is, I woke up and saw that someone stole my money. I told my mom, and she figured out it was my dad. My mom realized that she needs to divorce my dad due to him lying about what happened. My mom has never told me that any of this was my fault. It was how I was feeling in the moment. I have since gotten over that guilt. Many of you have said that I should try to get the money back from my dad. I'm not sure. I made peace not getting the money back. I'm not going to take him to court. My life is already crazy without worrying about court and my dad's gambling addiction. Not to mention, I really don't have proof that I could show the court, as I just gave the money to my mom. I never made any comments digitally about what the money is for, so it will absolutely fall apart and become a he said, they said. And honestly, I don't want to deal with it. I just want to move past this. Now for the 20-day update. So I, NB20, live in my own apartment with my sister, 20, and roommate, M19. We moved in about 2 weeks ago. Due to events in one of my previous posts, me and her are the only ones in my family not homeless. My dad has been living in his car and staying in hotels when able. My dad has recently been hospitalized for a multitude of reasons. No, I won't go into detail. He is going to be released. Some of the medical advice that is going to be given to my dad, he can't follow due to being homeless. My parents haven't mentioned the fact that my dad's homeless or that they are in the middle of a divorce to the hospital. My mom is scared what that would mean for him. My mom has asked me to talk to my roommates to see how they feel about my dad living with us temporarily. I agreed to, but I honestly don't want to have him. This might be selfish, but he would be in my room due to the fact he works nights. He won't do my sister's room because her room is hyper-feminine and is only separated by a curtain from the living room. As I am the one with an actual room, he would be sleeping in my room. Our schedules are pretty reversed, so we would never see each other except on my days off, but I really hate this idea. In our previous house, I had to share my room with my mom because of her working from home. This meant that whenever someone feels like it, they would barge into my room. I finally have my own space that no one could barge into, and not even 2 weeks later, it might be stripped from me. Not to mention, I am currently searching for another job due to the fact that I have moved to another city and no longer want to commute 3 hours each way. And I have a couple of phone interviews lined up for my days off. And I can't go into the living room due to my roommates also having those days off. And I don't like talking on the phone in public. My dad has also not acknowledged that he has done anything wrong. I am also still pissed at him. He can't go with my mom and other sister due to my maternal grandparents hating his guts at the moment. He can't ask any of his family due to the fact that they are hurtful, and he doesn't want to admit how bad his situation has gotten. So this just leaves me and my sister. My dad already doesn't like our roommate due to sexism and toxic masculinity. I don't think he will act in any way that will show it, but I really don't want to place him in a situation where he might have to deal with that. I have yet to tell my roommates as they had already left when my mom asked, and I don't want to ruin their event or have this conversation over text. I'm very tempted to lay out all the reasons it would be a bad idea for them so they agree that we can't do it. So I'm not the but I don't like the idea of manipulating them. My mom said that my dad probably won't accept the offer, but I'm not sure I can make the offer. Also, hotels are not an option due to the fact none of us have the money for them, and my dad will likely be paying off this trip for a while. I honestly feel like either way, I'm screwed. So, am I the Now for a few important comments. This sounds way too big for Reddit to solve. Then OP replied, unfortunately, Reddit is my only solution because I have no one to talk to about this situation. Now for the 3 to 4 month update. So yesterday was my dad's birthday, M60, INB20, have been pretty much no contact with him since my last post about him, only really seeing him here and there. My dad has reached out to me once, but I didn't respond. Never once has he apologized for what he has done. For the past week, I had been debating if I should send him the above text. No matter what, I decided I wasn't going to get him anything after all the money he took from me. Then on Wednesday, my phone got stolen. I spent most of Wednesday and yesterday trying to find it and come up with solutions so that I can do all the things I need to do. I thought that was the answer to texting my dad. Yesterday, I got a new phone and was talking to my mom. She texts me that I need to send my dad a text. She always reminds me to send birthday and holiday texts, as I am notorious for forgetting to. I said I will later, as I still hadn't decided if I was going to. She then told me that she gave my dad $20 for me. I was shocked. She said all my siblings agreed to send him $20 for a hotel room. We all know he will probably gamble it away. I had never agreed due to my stolen phone. I was pretty much out of contact, but I had still talked to her through my roommates. She also could have waited and asked if I was okay with it, which I would have said no. I don't think my mom will ask for the $20. She just seemed to do it in my name. Regardless, I was pissed. So I didn't text my dad because I wanted to make sure he was aware that I haven't forgiven him and that we don't have a relationship anymore. I also did it to spite my mom for putting my name on a gift I never agreed to. I was so sure of it yesterday, but now I think I might have just been petty. Am I the Am I the idiot for refusing to invite my manipulative family to my wedding? So some backstory. My dad left the family and went no contact when I, male 35, was 4. My mom remarried and had 2 kids with my stepdad. My stepdad never treated me poorly, but always made clear that I was Dale, fake name, to him. He was not my dad. My mom never tried to fix the relationship and honestly loved her new family and always saw me as a burden. That's what I thought, at least, until it was confirmed after my freshman year of college when my mom asked me not to come home anymore. I blocked her after that phone call and have had no contact with her or my stepdad and half-brother since then. I do still speak to my half-sister, female 25, at her insistence, but that's my only contact. It took me a long time to deal with basically being kicked out of my family. I grew to be pretty independent and thought I'd live alone until I met my fiancé, female 28, 4 years ago. We have had a great relationship, and her family opened up and invited me in with open arms. She comes from a pretty typical suburban family, and they are great. Over the years, I've told her about my issues with my family. She has met my sister, and she never pushed for more until we started planning the wedding. When we started talking about who we would invite, I talked about friends from college and coworkers, and she kept saying I should invite my parents. At first, I thought she was just trying to gauge if I wanted to. I said I would not be inviting my parents. She said okay, but then brought it up again the next day. I calmly explained how much they hurt me, how growing up feeling you were unwanted and then having it confirmed at 19 really stunted my mental health. That over the years I have realized it's their problem, and if they ever want to solve it, then they can initiate. But I am in contact with my sister, and it is clear they are happy insisting I don't exist. It sucks, but it's their problem that they have thrust onto me. I can't be the one to solve it. I thought it had ended, but she has brought it up 2 more times. The last one was last night. We were about to start the save the dates, and she said, "Are you sure you don't want to invite your parents? I feel like I might just invite them on my side." And I snapped. I told her we should probably just throw the invitations away, because if you can't respect what I've been through, then I don't want to marry you. I then went to our bedroom and fumed for a while. She came in to try to talk to me, and I walked out, grabbed my keys, and left. I came back around 11 p.m. after hanging with friends and slept on the couch. She left for work without a word to me, and I don't know where we stand. Her behavior is unacceptable, but I feel I may have gone too far. What do you all think? Am I the idiot? Now for a few important comments. Commenter, she's already in contact with your parents. This particular kind of obliviousness doesn't start with asking permission, but rather begging forgiveness. Then OP replied, "I don't think so. I go to dinner or talk with my sister every Thursday night, and she would hint if my mom and Dale wanted to reconcile. They don't. They honestly are happier pretending I don't exist." Now for the next day update. I'm very overwhelmed by the response. So many thoughtful responses. Thank you to everyone who took the time to respond. I thought I would give an update. My fiance normally gets home around 5:30 p.m., so after I was done working, I work from home. I waited for her to show up. Got very worried when it was 6 and she still wasn't home. But around 6:15, she shows up with my sister, which was a big surprise. While my sister and I connect every Thursday, we live 45 minutes away from each other, so her popping by is not normal. Both of them looked very anxious, so I was very confused. I asked them what was going on, and my sister just bursts into tears and saying she's sorry. After like 5 minutes of her losing her shoot, she starts talking about the family. So apparently when she told my mom and Dale that I got engaged, it started a rift between them. Not because they cared about me, but about how my half-brother, which is 27, is still living at home, single with no steady job. If you're thinking, wow, they kicked you out at 19, but let him stay there past when he could rent a car, don't worry, I said it out loud. My mom apparently wants to do the same to my half-brother, but Dale won't let her, so they are currently separated, with my mom living with family and refusing to come back until my half-brother is out of the house. For some reason that defies all logic, and reason my sister thinks getting an invite to my wedding will bring the family together, since it was my engagement that caused the rift. At this, I blew up a bit. I told her that my engagement had nothing to do with it, that their shitty parenting and poor relationship skills caused it, and don't put that shoot on me. She cried even harder, and this time I was not going to console her. My fiancé is just sitting there the whole time, so while my sister is trying to get herself together, I question my fiancé about this. She also tears up a bit, but tells me my sister was telling her about how I always bring up the family on our Thursday, and that deep down I wanted to repair the relationship. I asked how she could believe that, when I was very clear that I was no contact with my family and had never mentioned wanting to be in contact. I told her that I tell her everything and would never hold back something like this without talking to her. She's always been my sounding board. When I switched jobs last year, we talked about it every night, and her advice mattered more than anyone else. She apologized and then wanted to show me her phone, specifically the messages between her and my sister. At this point, my sister perks up and asks her not to show the phone conversation. But my fiancé tells her she's trying to save her relationship. My sister has just been straight up lying about our Thursday conversations, saying how I was always talking about reconciling, how I would never admit it, but I'm partially at fault too, how I really want to see them all again. Every time I would tell my fiancé no, she would text my sister, and my sister would talk about how I just couldn't be open because I was embarrassed. Just completely false. I would be perfectly happy never seeing any of them again. I can't believe my sister still sees them. At this, I tell my half-sister to leave and that Thursdays are canceled. My sister puts up a little bit of a fight, but I ignore her until she leaves. She keeps saying sorry over and over again, but honestly, I'm done with her. I've blocked her and will be no contact with her for the time being. A complete betrayal of my feelings and relationships. As for my fiancé and I am still very upset. She went behind my back with my sister, never asked me about it, let my sister manipulate her and honestly hurt me. I told her I love her, but my trust is broken. We've agreed to go to couples therapy and see if we can repair the relationship. I hope we can, but I'd say it's a toss-up for me. She's got a lot of work to do. Now for the post. A lot has happened. I'm just going to try and spill it in order for you all. So after my sister left, I told my fiancé I loved her, but I didn't trust her currently, that I felt she took my sister's side instead of mine. So I continued to sleep on the couch for a couple of nights. She was walking on eggshells around me, and I hated it, but I also just wasn't ready to forgive her. Then, Friday night, after I hung out with friends, I came home and crashed on the couch. We had had an innocuous conversation, but she did ask me to come to bed, and I told her I just wasn't ready. I woke up to pee at like 3 a.m., and she was sleeping on the floor next to me. I don't know why exactly, but it touched me deeply, and I cried a little bit. It meant so much to know that she wanted to be near me, even when I was being unloving. It really turned the tide. I woke up a few hours later, and she was making me breakfast. A surprise, as Saturday is usually my big breakfast-making day. We sat down to eat, and she was keeping the conversation light, still on eggshells. But I decided to tell her a story from my childhood. I told her how Dale used to make breakfast for the family, but never included me. I was older, so I slept in, and when I got up, there was rarely any breakfast left. And if there was, it was in the fridge, and no one would eat with me. I told her how much Saturday brunch with us meant to me, and how I hadn't really ever talked about it, and that wasn't fair to her. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. She apologized again, but I told her I didn't need it, that I forgave her. And while I still want to do couples therapy because I think it'll help me express my family issues with her in a healthy way, I'm ready to send out the save the dates. I then asked her to massage my back because the couch was a nightmare to sleep on, and she knew I was serious. I don't love people touching me, except my fiancé and I had really not allowed it since the original incident. I know most of you did not want me to forgive my fiancé, but I love her, and she loves me. She made a huge mistake, but she's never experienced anything like what I went through, and she showed remorse. As for my sister, my mom reached out via a phone number that I didn't recognize and told me I should forgive my sister. I told her to screw off, and she just confirmed my sister really had never had a relationship with me at all, because if she knew me, she would know that contact with my mom would only make the situation worse. I then blocked the number. She tried to come by Sunday, but my fiancé and I were out. She left a note apologizing and saying she did not ask Mom to contact me, and she's sorry she did that. My fiancé wants nothing to do with my sister anymore, but left the decision up to me. I told her that she was my family, so if she didn't want her there, she wouldn't be there. A little jab for sure, but she took it well and said she didn't want her there. We have been getting back to normal. It will still take time, and I think I may try individual therapy because as I was thinking about all the incidents, I'm not so sure the family situation is worse than even I have acknowledged, and it might be time to really deal with it. The save the dates were sent out yesterday, and everything is still on. I'm not sure I'll update again, but thank you all for letting me process and vent. Now for a few important comments. Commenter: I'm curious to know if you sent a save the date to your sister. I apologize if it was addressed and I missed it. OP: we did not. We just crossed her off the list. My side of the aisle is going to be a little emptier than my fiancé's, haha. But that's okay. She's the family I want. Commenter: downvoted. I don't understand if eating breakfast on Saturday as a child was so important. Why didn't you just get up early and eat with the family? It's clear many of you have had terrific relationships with your parents and or step-parents and never had to deal with a Dale who would roll his eyes, look annoyed, and look at his other siblings and say something like, "Looks like he's ruined daddy-kid time before." I'm happy you didn't have to deal with it, but I'm tired of having to explain and reopen painful memories for your public entertainment when I was coming here for advice and to vent, not to entertain. This was an update as a thank you. Kind of wish I hadn't done it. Definitely won't update again. Am I the idiot for leaving my cheating boyfriend and watching him lose it through a pet camera? Found out my boyfriend was cheating a few weeks ago. Been spiraling since, literally only running off of vengeance and pure disgust. I got this weird gut feeling and checked his phone while he was asleep. Those 20 minutes locked in the bathroom felt like years, and the shame keeps me from talking to anyone about it. I moved across the country to be with him, so I'm all alone. No friends or family here. He woke me up the next morning with kisses and breakfast and has been doing so a lot lately. Probably the guilt. He even bought me flowers for the first time ever, after me hinting at wanting them for years. He thought my quiet crying was out of happiness. He even brought up buying a house for us, something with enough space for potential future children. I'm still going through the motions, making his breakfast and protein shake every day, packing his lunch, making sure dinner is almost ready when he comes home from the gym. What makes me the angriest is that I really genuinely thought he wouldn't do something like this. He watched his father cheat on his mother and father children out of their marriage, all while she struggled with infertility her entire life. My partner isn't her biological son and never had her own. She dedicated her life to the two of them and passed away of ovarian cancer shortly before we met. Sometimes I think about whether she regretted staying with her husband or not. We have a small shrine in her honor, and something makes me look at and expect guidance. I love the man she raised and hate the one her husband did. But they're both him, and he's a grown butt man more than capable of self-control, so I decided to walk away. Next week, my car will be picked up and shipped back home, and I got first-class tickets for me and my dog on his dime. He'll come back home from work, and everything I brought will be gone, along with me. The only thing I think I might regret is not somehow being able to see his reaction when he walks through the door and realizes what's going. Lol. Now for a few important comments. A commenter said, "I'm sorry you're going through this. It's the hardest thing to let go. As hopeless as it can feel sometimes, it does get better. Take your time in the beginning, but I think it's therapeutic to confront him eventually. Ghosting doesn't provide closure for you. In my experience, confronting the problem head-on gave me a sense of closure. I try to take everything that happens as a life lesson. Good luck with everything." OP replied, "I personally don't believe in closure. I got all that I needed when I realized he was untrustworthy." Another commenter suggested, "Do you have access to his phone computer? Install a keylogger, then you can not only see what he's saying to you, but to the other APs as well. I put a keylogger on my ex's phone/computer when I caught him cheating. He was such a fool, and seeing the shoot he was saying, the lies he was spewing, made me grateful I dropped his butt." OP replied, "I do, but I don't think it would make a difference for me. His entire relationships with the APs was lies. Everything from his name, age, college degree, occupation, city, height, and weenie size. He even told one he was married and his wife was pregnant with twins. I almost had a heart attack thinking I was an AP too, and he had a family out there somewhere." Another commenter warned, "If he can go after you, you should probably leave a note or a sign that you're leaving him because of his cheating. Seeing that you up and left without a known reason from his POV might push him to follow you home. If he knows the reason and knows that he has no chance in hell in getting you back, it might delay a possible confrontation." OP replied, "You're right. I've been considering just leaving a sticky note with a list of all the different girls' names and the apartment key beside it. Simple and effective." The commenter added, "Fuck, multiple girls? Draw a little middle finger beside them while you're at it, and make sure there are little to no supplies, food, toiletries, cleaning stuff, left and leave the house dirty so that he can appreciate how much you did for the jerk." OP responded, 7 of them to be precise. "I'll have to rush and get out within a certain time frame, but I might just settle for shrimp in the curtain rods. He's really sensitive to smells, lol." I lied to my boyfriend every day and saved the money he gave me. Almost every day my boyfriend sends me money for lunch, gas, something. I thought he was just really kind. Turns out he was cheating, and giving me dollars made him feel less guilty, as though he didn't beg me to move across the country with him where I know no one. Once I found out, I wanted to immediately confront him, but was scared of the outcome, since the apartment was only in his name. And again, I know no one here. Now I just save every dime of what he sends to be able to pay for the $3,000 moving fees to go back home without hurting my own pocket too much. Breaking my heart, destroying my ability to trust, and scaring me off from men I can handle. But messing with my finances? No idiots here. Never. The transport company is coming next Wednesday to take my car, and my plane tickets for me and my dog have been bought. Gonna keep up my happy act and do the usual cooking of dinner and scrubbing his back and poof on Wednesday like I never knew him. It's the only form of revenge I could do that wouldn't haunt me. Good riddance. Now for a few important comments. A commenter asked, "I look forward to it. How did you find out if it's not get too personal." OP replied, "Woke up randomly in the middle of the night and he's up to no good was all I could think about. I sleep like a literal baby and never ever wake up like that. Took his phone and locked myself in the bathroom while he was asleep and found it all." Friendship breakups are so much worse than relationship breakups. I'll be single again pretty soon and I'm looking forward to it, but also not. Like, yay. I finally can cook when how I want to and don't have to split chores and can do everything on my own my way. But that's the only good part. I've been on my own since I was 16, and I've turned out mostly fine. I have a paid-off house and car, cute dog, debt-free, and I'm finishing up my master's degree at 25. It could be worse, but I'm lonely. I'm not on speaking terms with my family and had a huge fallout with my lifelong friends a couple of years ago. I haven't tried making friends since because part of me hopes one day I can find a way to fix that friendship. Plus, I'm moving around so much that making friends is pointless. I'm not good at long-distance anything. I never prided myself on romantic relationships. Sure, they're cool, but a loving group of women was always where I found the most peace and understanding, and that's what I want the most. I guess I'm just going through things right now, and I really wish I had people I trust to talk to. Friend breakups hurt the most. Now for a few important comments. When OP was asked how she had a house at a young age, she replied, "Neither. I lived with my friends and their parents until college started. Already had a scholarship. Just worked 3 jobs until I was 22 and lived frugally." Another commenter said, "The maths for time and money aren't working out on this end, but there is also a lot of variable info that is missing. I found out my boyfriend of almost 4 years was cheating. We've lived together for 2 years and I'm leaving him tomorrow. He just doesn't know yet and won't until after I'm gone. As mad as I am, as betrayed as I feel, I still love him. All I really want is to wake up tomorrow and this all be a nightmare. I don't enjoy this slice of reality, that the person I loved the most has looked me in my eye and lied to me for who knows how long. And every time I do it, I'm left wondering how many times he did it. How many times did he wine, dine, and frick other women and come home to me? How many times have I been the stupid girlfriend who trusted her boyfriend blindly? How many times have I been some woman's laughingstock? Did he frick us back to back? Did his friends know? Did they look me in my freaking eye and really not say anything? Did he love them? How many times did he tell me he loved me and meant it? When did he stop meaning it? Did he ever even mean it the first time? I'm not a master manipulator. Unlike him, I'm just composed because I've never had any other choice. Emotions got you beat or worse when it came to my parents, and I'm more than aware I have a shitload of trauma to unpack, but I can't. Not in the self-pity, woe is me. It's too hard, but no, I probably just can't. Therapists here are wildly westernized, and once I start with the short list, they'll probably just charge me double, maybe triple. And the last time I tried, he kept trying to convince me I enjoyed my own attack. Maybe I got cheated on because I'm emotionally inept. My intimacy levels are quite limited. The few times he asked about my childhood, I either A, brushed him off, or B, told him one thing I thought wasn't that bad, and he was so shocked I held out on the actually bad parts. And that's where the hate comes in. He knows what it's like to grow up feeling unwanted. He knows what it's like to lose your parents young. He knows what it's like to feel like your entire life has been horrible event after horrible event. But he still did this to me, and I don't get how he could. I could never cheat on anyone, let alone someone who's shared such personal things with me. I haven't so much as made eye contact with another man since we met. Other people were just other people, and we were us. I don't know. I just don't see being able to date again. I had deep-seated trust issues long before this, and growing old by myself with 30 cats genuinely sounds nice. Hell, great even. At least I won't always be wondering when the betrayal will come. Now for the update. Transport company came and picked up my car. Sold whatever big furniture I brought for low prices. Took his dog to the park and played with him a bit, got him a dog cupcake, and took him back to the apartment. Movers started coming for the rest of my stuff, and I hadn't prepared for our property manager, thinking we were both moving out and we hadn't given them the required vacancy notice. She came to talk to me right as my Uber was coming, and I told her what was going. Unfortunately, they had already called him because only his name was on the lease. He's called and texted me a few times, but I haven't replied. His workday won't be over for a couple of more hours. I left my apartment keys and anything he's ever bought for me that I hadn't sold already. Didn't feel like taking that stuff with me. While packing, I remembered we bought a pet camera that shoots treats on the entertainment center and turned it back on. I promised myself I'll disconnect from it by midnight tomorrow, but I have my own predictions about how he'll react, and I just gotta know for sure. Yeah, it's fricked up. Sue me, lol. I actually forgot to leave a note and was running out of time before my Uber came and just left the lingerie set he was so obsessed with on the bed. He'll figure it out eventually, or not. I'm at the airport now with my dog and just waiting on my flight. I wish I could say that I feel free, but I don't. Just tired. Thank you all for the well wishes, and thank you more to all of the other women who reached out with similar stories. I think I might have caved and stayed if you all hadn't. Now for a few important comments. What did he say on the text when they informed him that things were being moved out? OP replied, just that he got a call from property management and asked if I ordered something big and if anything was going on. Now for the pet cam update. I turned it on for about 10 minutes after I got back to my home and unpacked. He wasn't there, but everything was a mess. There was a hole in the wall, furniture flipped over, papers everywhere. The kitchen looked like a tornado went through it. I deleted all of my other social media accounts but didn't block his number. The first 2 days he called me over 200 times. Lots of novel butt text messages and him admitting to some shoot I didn't even know about yet. Quite a few calls from his dad and friends too. I didn't reply to any of them. Now for the last update found. Even though I have seen messages asking about an update, I didn't think anyone actually wanted one. Life just came full circle, and I saw my post on my TikTok, For You, literally page. Just a few things. I mentioned in a comment that I think his dad was the reason his mom passed. Not in the straight-up unalived way, but the I cheated so much and gave my wife an STD that led to her getting HPV, and since I didn't allow her to get medical treatment, she ended up infertile with cervical cancer. I misspoke and said ovarian and died way. Of course, no one will ever know that for sure, but I doubt it helped any. My ex had always claimed he did not respect his father. He is their bio-nephew, not son, as a man due to it. When I found out he was cheating, forgiving him was never an option because I have no interest in following in his mom's footsteps. I did not have any signs. Besides that, a few months in, he locked down his social media because he didn't want to get passed up on a promotion due to politics. I did ghost everyone we mutually knew for a month or two until I figured out who I could and couldn't trust to not just tell him my new socials/phone number/address. I never blocked his number, but I never replied to any texts or calls. They eventually died out 2 or so months later. He ended up finding out anyway, and I moved again, out of state this time. At the last place, he showed up at 7 a.m., and I saw him on my Ring doorbell looking around and showing my photo to people. One of my fool neighbors confirmed I lived there, down to my dog's name, and he kept coming every day after that. I kept finding letters addressed to me that were obviously from him. They said a lot of things I didn't know, but nothing that could ever make me move past what he did. I moved before I ever saw him face to face. A few of his friends reached out after my second move, telling me about some erratic behavior of his going on, but I ignored them too. Not my man, not my problem. I've been asked on some dates, but no thanks. I'm too fragile and trusting for the fricked up morals some of these men have. There's nothing about being in a relationship I miss. I know I'm probably supposed to say that I hope he gets the help he needs and finds happiness, but I don't. I'll have lifelong trauma from what he did, so at the least, he can have lifelong regrets. Most importantly, I found a great group of women that feel like family and always are there for me. I'm happier than I've been in years. I'm just thankful I got out before I got pregnant or married and was tied to him forever. I forget he exists most days now, and I didn't even think it was possible. I hope this suffices. Thank you, Redditors. I did get tested again and did test positive for trich, which I did not know existed beforehand. All cleared up now, though. I never did reach out to the other women, mostly because they used our relationship to bond. They all knew he had a girlfriend, and some he lied and said we were married. 3 of the other women were in committed relationships as well, so whoever social media I could find, I did message their boyfriends' husbands.